Hi guys, welcome back to our channel.
Welcome back.
My name is Michael.
And my name is Faye.
And we are
the Stalwart
Lovers. And we have the most delectable, beautiful, I like saying effervescent, but I don't think that describes a woman.
I don't know.
Beautiful,
like scientific
charming.
term.
I mean, she has been giving us a wonderful time so far.
Yeah.
The beautiful wife of my darling, inspired pastor, Laju Iren. You guys know.
What is your
See, I have to farms. This is
your
real.
babbling?
It's okay. Pastor Laju Iren,
Yay!
founder of datingintelligently.com, founder of so many other businesses. Don't worry, I'll drop a lot of link in the description. So do well to check her out.
Check her out, please, guys. You are going to gain a lot. You're going to,
don't worry, they will know by the end of this video. By the time all the wisdom is just flowing.
Yeah.
This video is going to be about questions you should ask your dating partner.
Yeah.
Many of you have asked us, what should I ask when I'm in a relationship?
Yeah,
blah, blah,
some
blah.
of you have asked,
There's no better person to discuss this with than PL. Because she has a book, Dating Intelligently. You don't want
a
to
whole book.
not read that book. Alright, so don't worry, you get a lot of tips on the book as she speaks, in this video.
Yeah.
Alright, so where do we start from?
Okay, have you welcomed me already?
Yeah.
Welcome to our channel.
Welcome to our channel.
Thank you so much for accepting to be on our channel.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for opening your door to us.
Yeah.
Guys, you need to come to this house.
It's so beautiful.
I don't feel like going. Maybe there's space in visitors.
Yes, there's space for you guys.
Yes, sir.
Alright, man. So let's start with this, right? Why is it important for people to ask questions when they are dating or in courtship?
Yeah.
First of all, thank you guys so much for having me here. I feel very honored. Like Stalwart Fam have been seeing on YouTube. Oh my god!
I can't believe she's saying
Sadly, when you guys did your wedding night video, my wedding night had already passed for like
right.
yes. So I was like, oh man, oh man. But thank you so much for having me on your channel. I feel very excited and honored to be here. Back to your question, right? Pastor Bimbo Odukoya of blessed memory used to say that courtship is a time for interview, not intercourse. So many young people put the cart before the horse. They first of all try and figure out what their sexual chemistry is, whether they are attracted to each other, whether they are compatible in bed. Many people care more about, what's this person earning? How do they look in the Instagram photos? But in the long run, none of those things will really matter when it comes to building a successful marriage. And so it's time to have conversations to really get to know the person. Speech betrays people. So the more people talk to you, the more you have an understanding of how they view the world, how they view marriage, how they view you, and how they view the other people in their life. So it's so important. It's like saying, why do I need to interview people before giving them a job? So for example, even if you wanted to get a help in your house, you would interview the person. It's not as if this person is making major life decisions with you or raising your kids. There's just somebody who lives with you and helps you. And you interview the person. And so many times we interview people for jobs that pertain to our lives. But the role of a life partner, which is one of the most important jobs, quote and unquote, many times we don't do due diligence, and that's a very dangerous thing to do. Especially because, like I always say, and you guys mentioned dating intelligently already, thank you.
Yes, sir. Go get the book, guys.
Courtship is the time to love intelligently, marriage is the time to love blindly. What many people do is they go into marriage blindly while courting, and then the person begins to exhibit some dangerous behavior, and you're shocked. Meanwhile, if you had paid attention in the courtship phase, it would have been easier for you to see the red flags, understand the green lights, and know how to move forward.
Wow.
Wisdom is flowing already. Let's go. I'm ready for this. All right, let's jump right into the main questions. What do you think, in your opinion, is the first? Now, this might not be the highest order, but one of the most weighty questions you must definitely ask your dating spouse.
That's a very good question. So many come to mind, especially now that people will have a spouse and then come and toast somebody else. I'm almost tempted to say, are you married?
Wow.
but
I didn't think that way at all.
I didn't think of that.
Like, am I the only
Only
one?
one?
Yeah. Are you married?
but I wouldn't really say that's the first question that comes to mind immediately. When I talk to dating couples, I usually mention the negotiables and the non-negotiables.
Okay.
And I truly believe that if you're a Christian who's in a dating relationship, there are some non-negotiables. Number one is faith. You both have to believe the same thing. It's not an issue of behavior. Oh, this person doesn't believe in Jesus, but they are so well behaved. It's an issue of nature. So you need to ask them, okay, are you born again? That's such an important question. Don't just assume that because you met somebody in church, then the person is automatically born again. Don't date somebody who just got born again because they say, are you born again? Well, do you want me to be born again? If you want me to be born again,
I can be born again for you.
I can be anything for you.
I'll be anything for
you. So I think recognizing, first of all, what are the non-negotiables for you. Number one, faith. Number two, character. And number three, really, even though I jokingly said, are you married? But really finding out, am I the only person you are making this proposition to? Or are you already... Marriage is not... it's not a commitment you can make when you already have outstanding commitments in that same area. So those are conversations to have. I think that apart from asking the questions, because sometimes we ask questions because we know the answer we want to hear. So we just tell us. I think that observing people is also very important. So you're asking them questions, but you are also asking yourself these questions. If this person was really saved, would they be duping others of their money? If they were really saved, would they treat their parents or strangers this way? So asking them questions, but also asking yourself questions. And sometimes once in a while, asking the people in their lives questions. I've seen single people that you meet somebody's brother or their sibling and say, you want to marry my brother?
Hey, I pity you.
So you have to pay attention. I think that's very important.
Thank you so much. You have to pay attention. You need to take time to investigate. Literally, like CIA duties.
Yeah.
I know I had my own share of doing CIA for my wife. It was Facebook, and as a family, I followed them all. I started checking just to be sure, she's from a good home, some things that I wanted to be sure that she had. Interesting.
I mean, for me, I think the basic thing for me, for my husband, when I was investigating, I could see his heart in clear black and white, and we talked a lot.
Exactly.
So through conversations, through just talking, relating, a lot of things tend to come out. So I mean, we tend to tell people that try to talk. Try to talk as much as you can.
I mean, how can you ask questions if you don't even talk?
If you don't even talk.
I think that's so important. You can't just spend all your dating phase looking into each other's eyes.
I'm feeling butterflies.
Hello.
I love you so much. I love you too.
You can't spend. I think of course there's a place for romance in relationships, but you need to have those conversations, because when you're marrying someone, you're marrying their character, you're marrying their decision making. That's what's going to help you build a healthy marriage going forward.
Fantastic. Okay, so I mean, any other question that you should ask?
There are so many other questions too. I think that when you've asked about the non-negotiables, faith, when you figured out character, sometimes people also need to understand. So for example, I truly believe that the purpose of every person is Christ, so there's that. But sometimes assignment is also important. I feel like purpose is different from assignment. So maybe one person says, oh, my job is to be president of Nigeria, and that's my dream in life. And I'm going to start from being a local government person to going to Senate and House of Reps, and then from there I'm going to be president. Another person is like, so what I want to do is to not live in Nigeria at all. You can already see that there is a disparity.
A dichotomy.
Exactly. A serious dichotomy. So conversations about assignments are important. You don't necessarily have to have the same assignments. Not all pastors, for example, have to marry people who also are pastors. But there has to be an alignment, like a certain understanding of this person's assignment, and figuring out, okay, so how do I fit in? And even if I don't fit in directly, even if my job is just to support you, for example, I can still, it still doesn't what's the word? It's still not so far away from what God will have me do. There are some things my husband does, for example, that I have no idea about. He had the night of worship with Sinach. You guys were there.
Yeah.
And she asked me, she said, so are these people not singing for this? I said, ma, anything music, I don't know. I'm just here to support my husband. So assignment-wise, I think these are conversations to have. So that, because you're also building a family, so that you figure out who can stand in for who, when, what person needs to be somewhere. Conversations about health. What's this person's genotype? Do you understand? What's my own genotype? How does this affect us going forward? What health issues maybe run in your family? I don't know who was saying it's about when people wanted to get married. Look, I was watching, I think it was a Apropos Doctor. When our ancestors wanted to get married years ago, and they will go to this person's
Family.
family and find out, okay, so what illness is running in your family? So now we're not trying to maybe make it look as if your family is bad, the family is evil, but so that you can prepare yourself going forward. So health, very important. Money conversations, very important. Some people don't want their wife to work. They don't have the conversation until they are married. So
that's important.
So the woman will just be feeling like,
yes,
I want to do something for myself.
So those are conversations to have. Some people don't want their wives to ever earn more than them. Do you understand? Those things are important. Some people's idea of life is, okay, so I come from a rich home. I'm not really going to apply myself. Me and my wife will just spend my father's inheritance. Those are conversations to have. You want to maybe travel abroad to pursue a PhD for 6 years. Those are conversations to have about money, about assignments, about health, very important, and also about your perception about marriage. So that if, for example, you believe, I don't know why any believer should, but let's say you believe in polygamy. It's not after you've gotten married, that's after all my mates. They have two wives. So what's your point of view on marriage? Some women feel like there's nothing like submission, they shouldn't submit. And the man, of course, believes in submission the Bible way. So what is the conversation to have? Some men feel like they should never tell their wives I love you because their father never told their mother. She just knew because he provided. So what are your points of view about marriage?
Captain Shiton Road.
In my series, During Ever After.
If you've not seen the movie During Ever After, go check it out.
Yes,
amazing,
go check
amazing
it out.
movie.
I think that when you talk about the finances parts, something else also came to mind. I mean, some people don't know. I mean, this issue of joint accounts. Some people, they don't talk about it, and later you feel someone says, let's have a joint account, and another person is kicking against it. I feel like it's part of the financial decisions and questions that should be asked. I mean, how do we want to handle our money? Is it my money is my money and your money is our money?
It's women that do it a lot. Your money is our money. My money is my money.
And some guys don't realize that mindset until they're married and they're like, this woman she's not, blah, blah, blah. And you never found out.
I think money is a major factor. On Twitter, like 2 days ago, I saw a trending post about how guys say their girlfriends, they are being, how do I put it now? Clean, what's the word? When you are
entitled.
Yes,
they're being entitled to money. And the guy showed a screenshot of his conversation with his babe. Apparently, he sends 200,000 to the girl every month. And the girl still says, when he says, how are you? I'm not fine. What happened? I don't have food. Or, then the guy decided to blast her one day and like, why do you always? And then she feel like, why do you talk like you own me? Because you give me 20,000 a month does not mean that, and it's just the perspective, the mindset.
I think that mindset is getting worse and worse every day. I remember my marriage counselor, Pastor Dele Bambo, is saying something that you don't have any financial obligation to a person you are not married to.
That's true. That should be louder.
Let me repeat it.
You don't have any financial obligation to a person that you are not married to. I think that is so important because I feel like ladies today, not all of them, but some of them need to understand that his money is as green as yours. You have the capacity to make money.
Yes.
And so when you enter a relationship with that mindset that this person is supposed to meet my needs, you've made yourself a commodity. And it doesn't matter how expensive you are. If you have a price tag, then you're actually cheap.
Then you are cheap.
It's very important. It's very important that we have that mindset about money. There are some guys who also contribute to this, who feel like the way they toast girls is they throw money around.
Yes. So they don't make things easy.
Right?
So it's not as if they're not even looking for the girl with character. You're not looking for the girl that can add something to their life in terms of conversations or value. They are looking for the cutest girl that they can spend the most money on. There's nothing wrong with marrying a rich man.
Nothing.
Absolutely.
Do you understand? I remember, even though when I started dating my husband, we had practically nothing. We saved for like 2 years to have our first house rent.
Wow.
Right? But nowadays, I said I was going to open a handle called At That Pampered Wife because my husband really does take good care of me. So there's nothing wrong with being with somebody who is comfortable, but you need to make sure that you're not choosing a spouse based on how much they have or their perception of how much you have, because money can grow wings and fly away. So you want to make sure that you choose
perception.
Exactly.
The focus.
And you choose somebody who sees the value in you beyond what they have or what you have.
Wow.
Important.
Wow.
And I also like the conversation you mentioned about marriage. like what's your mindset about marriage?
Mm.
But I would even add and say that what's your mindset about a godly relationship?
Mm-hmm.
You know, people go into a relationship and feel like, well, everybody is in a relationship. Why can't you come over? Why can't you, trip to Mauritius? I don't know how people do trip to all these places.
I don't know
with their, what do you do?
Is it anointing oil that is in your vein?
Yes, or it's still that
You
is
say,
on
we're
your
not going
body.
to do anything now. We just want to have fun.
Yes, say it over and over again. You know, so what's your idea about a godly relationship?
Yeah.
I think these are questions you need to ask because you need to be sure that they are willing to put God 1st, honor God with their bodies.
Yeah.
You know, because
what is even the idea of sexual purity? Like, some people are Christian, they will tell you I'm born again. If you ask them, they will say I'm born again. But do you kiss in your relationships? Like,
is kissing okay?
Is kissing okay for you?
You know, is loloxing?
What is loloxing?
Rubbing.
I learned that word in one of our videos. We invited Uncle Papa. He said loloxing. I said, what? Loloxing is kissing and the touching.
And all the romance and the pushing all those.
So I learned a new word.
I'm like, do you do those things? Some people say, no sex before marriage, but they can do all those ones. You need to know.
You know, you're the one that grace covers your loloxing.
You need to know.
Like
You need to know.
I think that the truth is that if you are dating anybody, sexual temptation is a real thing.
Sure.
But when the person already has a mindset that there's nothing wrong with going as far as possible, it now becomes even more difficult for you guys to remain sexually pure. And if somebody is already of the mindset that it doesn't really matter, we can do it. When you get married and the guy is not faithful or the lady is not faithful, the way they me and you were cheating on God together, so why can't I cheat on you in marriage? What's this about?
Right.
I often say that people ask, how far is too far? You know, we have a video on how far is too far, but I always say that don't ask how far is too far. Ask what is wrong and what is right.
Yeah.
And
Or why must you go far at all?
Why must you
don't
go
try
far
to
at
know
all?
how far can I go. You know, sorry. You get like how far can I
how
go?
close can I go to God, right?
You know, what if I am this close? Is it a sin?
It's
Don't-
I think when it comes to sexual purity, it's even beyond. The truth is that if I go outside on my streets and I lie down on the road and I start rolling my body on the floor, it's not a sin.
Yeah.
Some people say, okay, well, doing this particular thing in itself is not a sin. So if I start rolling my body, it's not a
Check
sin.
it.
But the Bible also tells us that we should that all things may be lawful for, but not all
Right.
all things may be lawful for us, but not all things are helpful. So how does this contribute to my walk with the Lord? How does it contribute to the relationship itself? How does it contribute to our efforts at abstinence until marriage?
Yes.
And how does this help us build intimacy beyond physical intimacy?
Yes.
Because the more you start touching, the less you start talking.
Yes, that's true.
That's the
So your conversation will be about the physical.
you will have conversation.
You have
You just meet and
every time you meet, it's
it will be like Nollywood. Nollywood.
And things like that. If you do one thing today, that thing will not be enough tomorrow. You want
Yeah.
to
You
go
keep
for
wanting
that.
more.
Yeah.
That's it.
until you get to the end.
Like a shining light that shines brighter. That's the wrong way to use that scripture.
I think your video on, and by the way, she has a YouTube channel, guys. Go check it out. You know, your video on is kissing this, and I think that's where you use that scenario of rolling on the floor. I've seen that scenario before, and I think it's just spot on.
Because there are no decisions we make there are so many decisions we make not just solely on is it a sin. You understand? If both of you are jobless, it might not be a sin. But how do you take care of your family? So we need to start asking more important questions.
Yes, Dan, is this a sin or is this not a sin?
This is not a sin. Wow. So I think one major thing I caught from that was, you are in a relationship, when you start to do all those things, you tend to get even more blind to the obvious faults.
Yeah.
The sexual, the butterflies, all those things just tend to distract
because
you
Konji
in the
to
end.
take over.
Yes,
Konji to
take over. So you
take over.
just tend to be so distracted.
Hashtag Konji must not take over.
Yes, so Konji was not take over.
Truthfully, you
Stay
might begin to
cool.
see that, well, I know he's not such a great guy, but I love him. You don't really love him. You only love how it makes you feel.
Your hormones are speaking.
Yes, there was a comment on our YouTube video.
Literally, like few
And
days ago.
the lady
right?
said that she said she had sex before marriage, blah blah blah. She said working with God is pretty hard. That kudos to us. I just saw a lot of giving up on this so-called working with God thing. She said she knows the guy she is with is probably not God's
It's
will for
not
her.
good for her.
It's not good for her. She probably will regret it in the next few years, but she will marry him anyway.
Anyway.
And I'm wondering, how did you get to this point?
Yeah.
However, she has been sexually active with this guy, and a lot of things come from that. Guys, especially when it begins to give you money and sex, begins to control your life, begins to threaten you.
I cannot even think well again.
Like leaving him is not just an option because you feel like you'll be
You are too
worse
far
for
or
it. Yes,
something.
you just get blind by it.
I
Just really
think
blind
that
them.
what people like that need to realize is the guy, the prodigal son. He went as far away as anybody could ever go.
Yeah.
Like we've seen people who've had it bad, but I've never seen anybody eating pig's food that was in their right mind.
Yeah.
So it means that regardless of how far you've gone, the grace of God is still available. Number one, not just for you to receive forgiveness, which is important, but to also empower you to live above sin.
Yeah.
So that's something that grace does. Grace forgives and grace empowers. And that's something you must understand, that God loves you more than he hates your weaknesses, more than he hates your past, more than he hates your mistakes. And so regardless of how far you've gone, he's still calling you home. By the time the prodigal son went back home, was like, I would say, I would just be a servant. I would just be this. And then the father, he sees the father running towards him. Do you understand? So God is actually still running towards you. And no matter how far you've gone, no matter what your past might look like, it's nothing compared to the future that's ahead of you. Even in terms of time, you because that lady might not be up to 30.
I mean,
What she'll be, even if she's old, maybe she's 40. It means that there's still 40 years of your life that God can use. And he can orchestrate you, he can bring you to a place of light and orchestrate you to make the right decisions going forward. Nothing is impossible with God, regardless of how far you've gone.
Yes.
And when you look through scriptures, there's such a cloud of witnesses. There's the prodigal son, there's Mary Magdalene, there's that woman who committed adultery.
Yes.
And you just receiving the forgiveness of God, putting yourself in a position where you can be taught the word of God, attending a good local church, receiving mentorship. But if you keep staying there, at least you need to make the effort to get up and trust that God will take care of the rest.
Yes. Wow.
Thank you so much, Pastor Laju.
It has been amazing.
I think we just went into a quick preaching session for that lady. I know you probably still watch our
and
videos.
many people like that
answer is for you, and for anybody that you feel like you've just gone so bad, in the wrong things. You know what is right, but you feel like there's no redemption for you. I mean, you've heard it all. The grace is available for you to be saved and for you to have power to be empowered to live above sin. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
So what other questions? I mean, we've mentioned a lot of questions right now. Like, I mean, if you're taking notes, probably you have your number 17 or 25, and it's fine. We're just going to give you as many as we can before we end the video. So, I mean, let's keep it rolling.
So while we're on the break, you said it's you and your wife that will talk first.
Yes. So I think let my wife talk. I want you to do some talking now.
Okay. Yeah. Another question that we could actually look at is conflict resolution. Like, how do you resolve conflict? What do you think of conflict resolution? As a couple, do you think when you're angry you should just walk away? Or, I mean, these are things that you majorly observe, as she rightly said, not just asking direct questions, but these are things that you tend to deduce from the way they handle conflicts. When the person is angry with you, do they just go all out and just go mad? Or do they actually...
Or they take days before they even sit down to have conversation?
Exactly. Do they spend a week
Or
keeping
they do
malice
revenge
with
sex,
you?
go and sleep with somebody else.
No.
That was evil.
Oh, wow. Or
So
they never
how do
forget.
they- exactly. Or
They keep records of
Yes,
your wrong.
whenever you now do something else again, they would bring you back to what you did yesterday or last year.
How to resolve conflict. You need to have that conversation.
Yes.
And on the flip side, you need to know how to love. You need to know how to, how do I love you? Alright?
Yeah.
And it's not if you love me, you let me touch you. That's not what I'm talking about. How do I actually make you know that I love you? What do you like? Apart from you being sensitive to learning your partner's love language, it's okay to say, this is what I like. I like when you give me gifts, no matter how little. Those that like gifts, they like gifts no matter how little. They are not the people that say, oh, I like when you buy me a Porsche. That's materialism, right? So it's okay to ask questions. How do I show you that I love you? How do I love you? Help me to love you better.
Yeah.
It's a good question to ask, a good conversation to have.
Yeah. And I think that you also need to have conversations about children. Some people maybe they don't want to have kids. So it's after they get married, you say, see, I don't want to have any children.
Jesus.
And they've already married somebody's child. Or some people have made up their minds that they are going to adopt, and there's nothing wrong with that. But these are conversations. What if your partner is averse to adoption? So these are conversations to have. What child raising techniques are we going to use? But the truth is that even when you get into marriage, you still be having these conversations.
Yes.
That is the reason why, apart from the conversations themselves, you must be very observant. And you're observing not just because there are some scenarios that will crop up in marriage like never occurred to you to ask this question. No, marriage is like practical. No, when you're teaching the theory, like, this thing is easy now.
Reality now comes.
By the time you now enter the practical mode, you start looking for your teacher in practical class. What's going on?
This is with this one.
So it's important that you also observe this person's track record. Like when they were angry with their sibling, did they stone something on the person's head? When you see somebody who is violent when they are angry, you don't be sitting there and be asking them, so when you're angry, how do you need to ask? They've shown you
just your salubata.
Yes, they've already shown you their ability and their capacity and their potential when it comes to anger. And they probably
even magnify
yes, exactly. Because marriage does not change people.
Yes.
It only amplifies who they really are. So you must, apart from asking the questions, you must also be observant, and you must observe, do they have a history of making good decisions? Because during the break, I remember I was talking about, okay, what states do you want to live? What states do you want to settle? Some people will ask, what's your 10-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? And I used to jokingly say that when I asked my husband, he said, I don't have. I said, he doesn't have
to be following God.
I said, you don't have 10-year plan. I said, no. You know, then I went to see you, so this just like purpose, pursuit, plan. Right. And then I should be love relationship. Okay, what's your 5-year plan? I said, this ministry is so dynamic. But there was something about the man himself that I could trust. He was like the Abraham that God could tell him, go to a place, I'll show you. Yes. And because even in the little things, I had seen a consistency in his character. And there was a conviction in my spirit that, okay, he may not have a 10-year plan or a 5-year plan. We don't even know, because we've changed cities quite a number of times since we got married. When we wanted to start the Abuja church, we changed, I think we made that decision to move from Lagos to Abuja within like 3 weeks. We had a 2-year-old and we had a baby in the tummy, and we moved because the Holy Ghost said so. But this was somebody who I had seen the decisions he had made before, no matter how little. I had seen him follow through, I had seen him be committed, I had seen him be responsible. So even though there was a dynamic nature to the things he did, I could trust his character and his decision making going forward. Because if somebody says, we're going, okay, I'll plan to settle in Lagos, then tomorrow God says, go to Ibadan. Or God says, go to Ife. Yeah, exactly. And then you don't want to marry, say, but you said these are you going to live. So to still be submitted to a man who is submitted to God. And then choose a woman herself who herself loves the Lord. I think that's also really important.
I mean, that's the meeting point. I always say this, like, the greatest conviction that I had about my wife was one little misunderstanding we had. And I told God, the woman I want to marry, I want you to be the one that sorts our issues. So go and tell her what she did wrong. Let it be clear to her. So when I'm having the conversation with her, let it be clear that she already knows what she did wrong. And you know, when we were talking, she said, I understand, the Holy Spirit convicted me.
I literally did not allow you to speak. I just said everything. Okay.
I shouldn't have done it. I was looking at her like this. Holy Spirit.
Well, are all your arguments like that?
In marriage?
Well,
no.
But
I was just checking. So no, I don't remember that. Don't be me bad. I'm just checking.
No, I mean we have pretty decent arguments, but at the same time, they are, how do I put it?
They're usually misunderstandings. The ones that get really serious that we need to now sit down and talk. It's not like we fought. It's just a misunderstanding. Maybe I'm a little bit sad because of something, and I don't have the words to express because of my personality.
See, I'm interviewing the interview.
That's the way.
But I totally get you guys, because there are times when maybe I'll be telling my husband something and maybe he won't listen to me, and then later he says, do you know God told me this? And I'm like, that's what I've been trying to say. And then there are times where the reverse is the case. Right? So I think it's really beautiful, even though marriage is not always a bed of roses. Sometimes there are challenges.
Yes.
But when you are with somebody who loves the Lord and you love the Lord,
there's going to be a balance.
Yes.
There's always going to be a balance.
Like there might be detours, but the destination is sure. And then you get stronger every time.
Yes, you tend to feel
you guys are getting a full dose Let's know in the comment section if you want us to do another video on this marriage thing.
Yeah.
So, but let's go back to the questions for a bit.
Okay.
So what other questions do we think? Let's wrap it up now. Last question, final question from you, and then we'll call it.
Out of your own question.
I'm the host.
Is the host.
Is his host.
I'm just chipping in from time to time.
I think that you also want to have conversations about family. Will our extended family be staying with us? When we get married, are we going to be living in your father's house? How are things done in your extended family? Talking about, I think there are also plans to be made regarding next of kin. Will you get married and then
your mom is still your next
of kin? Sometimes people just say that because they don't know. I remember when we first got married, my husband loves me. In fact, when we were about to get married, he told me he loves his family and I love them too. Let me not say to death, to life. When we were about to get married, he told me that these people are extended family. We are the one that is my nuclear family. I said yes. But then he started feeling next of kin and he was feeling his mom. And I said, why are you feeling your mom as next of kin? And he said, oh,
are you serious?
Like, so it wasn't even something. He didn't unconscious because he always
it was default.
So it wasn't as if he was choosing his mom over me, but it was after we got married that we now had that conversation. I was like, okay, if something happens to you, God forbid. Do you understand? So just those little things.
True.
And then learning to understand your partner's heart. That when they bring up next of kin, it's not as if they want to do something to you and take all your
They don't want to kill you and take your money away.
So, but really, family, are there family dynamics that this person should be aware of? Things that are very important. You come from a family where if something happens to you, you will give your wife to your brother. Do you understand? So those conversations,
very, very important.
traditions in the family. What church do we attend when we get married? So normally, I truly believe that if you are submitting, you should go to your husband's church after you get married. Except your husband himself says, okay, I think I prefer your church and I want to make the change. So, but those are conversations
you
to
should
have.
go to the same church.
Yes, you should. You should.
Yes,
you should go to the same church. Most definitely, you should go to the same church.
Yeah.
After you get married, I was telling them in my church on Sunday. I said, so here we marry from inside this church. We also bring people from other churches, and we also send our church members to other Bible-believing churches. So on a larger scale, we are one family in Christ. But if you're getting married into a church, what do they believe? There are some churches where they still make you not human, animal sacrifice. Today, from what my husband told me about what. So
really,
yes. So in this country, so those are conversations to have. What's their theology about salvation by grace through faith, about money, about evangelism, about spiritual gifts, things like that. Those are conversations to have. And the more you talk, the more you realize that there are so many other things to talk about.
Wow. So I'll just add one more thing. In the area of family members and stuff, in-laws, I mean, do your people like me? Yes. Does your dad like me? Does your mom
they're just
like
calling me our wife.
Because my husband had let's say an issue, just a little rough time with my parents. My parents did not initially accept.
Not like they don't like me. Oh yes.
Yes.
I don't believe it.
I like people like this. They make me know that. Oh Lord.
But initially, I think I was the person that went into a relationship for the first time among all my siblings. No. I mean, even my other sister had not gotten into a proper relationship by the time I was getting into one.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a first shock. Time, yes. And they did not think, there's just this thing. They might not admit it, but I felt
they've admitted it now. I think they have a video with them where they mentioned discuss all these things.
Your other sister is still not yet in a level, and to them in their brain,
they feel like this is the
they even saw you as I'm a baby.
From crush to relationship to marriage.
It was too.
It was like I in their brain it felt like okay, to my sister that was next in their mind. So they could not just come to terms with the idea on time. And that was what made us have a rough start. And I had to actually open up to my husband. Because he needs to know where he stands.
I used to tell her, tell me everything.
He needs to know where he stands. He needs to know.
So that I don't go and
exactly.
don't go and form familiar with people are still
Exactly.
looking at you like
Just try and
I was telling
no
I was telling them in the counseling class, I said when it comes to in-laws, especially when your motives are pure, there's nothing like eye service. So
yes.
even if in your house you're not kneeling down to greet your own parents, if there's some sense that your in-laws are still undecided, when you get there, you kneel down, you lie
Do
down,
everything.
you go the
Yes.
extra mile. Even
Go the
after you
extra
get married,
mile.
you still make that extra effort to let them know that this person is important to me and
Yes.
therefore you are important to me.
I think that was what changed my in-laws. I mean, on our video, I literally put the question to
He
them
kept proving himself
because
over and
people
over
asked. I
again.
told them to ask what questions you wanted me to ask my in-laws. So they said, "What was the impression about Micah?" And they actually mentioned. I said, "What changed?" They said, "We got to know you." You know,
Aww.
I'm like that's just it. Like, open yourself. Let them know the real you. And if you are not faking it, then they will come
In
around.
the end, they'll come around. Wow.
Wow.
An amazing session.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I had such a good time.
Wow.
Sincerely.
We had such an amazing time as
Honestly, this
I
video
thought
should be
it
cut
should be
into two, like part 1, part 2. But
Probably.
I'll put it into one.
well. Yeah, let's
Thank
see
you
how
so
long
much.
it is.
Pastor Laju Iren.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you
having
so
me.
For
much
blessing
being on our
us.
channel.
Stalwart lovers, drop a comment, drop nice things. Let's know how
Stalwart
you feel.
Fam. We are Stalwart lovers.
And
we are
the same
Stalwart
thing.
Fam.
Did you tell them to watch my series?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll drop the link to our
Amen.
channel.
So our
There are a lot of,
Instagram.
My channel is my name, Laju Iren.
Laju
My
Iren.
Instagram is my name, Laju Iren.
Yeah,
My
exactly.
website is my name.
I'll drop everything, man. Trust me. Trust me.
LajuIren.com, right?
That's
Yes.
my website, yes.
Yes, and she has a book, Dating Intelligently. I've ordered my own copy.
Yes, you can go to Laju Iren books, right?
So LajuIren.com or dating
Okay, just datingintelligence.com. I think it's the Laju Iren book.
I will
that's
put
Gmail.
all the links in the
All the
description. You
links,
guys don't
sha.
stress.
Everything.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. Honestly, we're grateful. Thank you for opening your home to us.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on our show.
Thank you for opening your channel home to me.
Hey, yes, so we don't pleasure.
Right.
We don't pleasure. You hold a special place in our hearts.
Yeah, so if you enjoyed watching this video and you've not subscribed yet, please click on that subscribe button down below and make sure you drop a thumbs up, a like button, like click it.
And drop a
Just hit
comment.
it. Drop a comment.
And make
share
sure you go
with
and subscribe to
everyone.
Laju Iren's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Watch the videos.
Yeah.
During ever after, she's a movie producer. Like, see, full package.
Yeah,
Pastor's
so
wife,
load it.
author,
Load it.
mother,
It's okay now. Let's go.
coach, counselor, movie producer. See.
Everything. Every.
So
Alright, guys.
make sure you go and check that out. Alright, till we come your way again
Keep loving.
and keep believing.
We are
The
the
Stalwart
Stalwart
Lovers.
Lovers. Yay!